boyos. Daily check-in with John Vee. It is January 25th, 2026. So happy belated birthday to me. My birthday was on the 22nd. Um, Nothing special, just another day, right? As a single man who has no job and whatnot, you know, special occasions aren't that special. They're just another day, right? I have my family, but once things change and I get my own place in housing, I won't be coming back even for special occasions. Most likely, I'll just be holed away in my own place, trying to improve myself, right? But I was requested to make this video talking about my youth. Optional is talking about forum members that I remember, but I won't talk about that because, yeah, I don't remember very many, just a couple, but I won't talk about them. But talking about my youth, uh, you know, I could talk about things I've learned from my youth. And a lot of the stuff I think I've learned that changes, right? I think, I'll be pleased to think, this is the way things are, this is the way I should be. And it still changes, right? Things are always changing. So I guess that is one thing I've learned, like, you know, you don't trap yourself into a certain way of thinking or a certain way to be, right? Because things are always changing, right? But one thing I've learned is you gotta have goals. And in my youth, um, I wasn't very goal oriented, right? I did things for immediate gratification, and I didn't think about the future at all. I just drifted aimlessly, living day by day. And even with strength training, when I used to strength train in my younger days, when I was really lean, um, it was for immediate gratification because I work out and then I'd flex in front of the mirror and look at myself all pumped up and get immediate gratification from it, right? Um, but things I miss, like I miss being in shape. The main thing is I miss being lean, right? It's not even so much being like kind of muscular, it's being lean. I can deal with being a twink. I wouldn't mind being a twink again. But the biggest failure is being overweight now. And if I could go back to my youth, the thing that I would want most back is being lean, right? Because lean is a game changer. Lean is law, like they say on the forums. And I'm quite blown up and fat. And being fat, it changes your life for the worst because it sends a signal to other people that you're lazy, you're unmotivated, you have no goals, that you're ugly, you're out of shape, your cardio ability sucks, um, you have poor self image, probably poor self esteem, no confidence, right? Those are all the assumptions I make about people when I see them and they're really fat. So that's what I assume other people assume about me when they see me, right? And the sad thing is, I can go to the grocery store and mog half the shoppers, right? And that's pretty sad being obese like I am. Because I'll go to the store, the grocery store, and half the shoppers I see, I swear, they must be 300 pounds or more. I swear, right? With rolls of fat hanging off them that you can see through their clothing. And it's just, it's, it's pitiful, right? What has this world come to? And I don't know if it just happens to be because I live in a poor area. Maybe that's what it is. But I had somebody before on a forum tell me, the demographic of people in your area, it's because it's a poor area, right? If you go to an area where there's lots of money, you see more people that are fit and in shape. That could be the case. But, as someone who's never had a lot of money and always been poor, that's the type I attract into my life. And I've always lived in poor areas in the same locality, pretty much, of the Annapolis Valley, Nova Scotia. And it's not a very happening place. It's not a very upscale place at all. But my youth. Um, it's not a lot for me to say about my youth, right? Regrets I might have, like, I wish I had become a NEET sooner. There was good things about working. I've only been a NEET for about a year now, but there was good things about working. Like, I'd meet people, even though the people that I met through work, I don't associate with any of them now. None of them. I don't really associate with anybody. And if I had my way, if I could go back, I would have become a NEET right after I dropped out of school, right? Because of issues that I had, mental health and all that. And I found I've actually become more successful, with the exception of some things which I will clear up. I've become more successful as a NEET than I ever did working, making more money, right? Because when you work, you have bad habits, like going to McDonald's and buying lunch every day, going to the corner store and buying a pack of smokes every day, shit like that. Going to the coffee shop every morning to buy a coffee, right? Buying snacks on your breaks. Now, I don't do all that stuff as a NEET because I hardly ever leave my house. So I don't have these expensive habits that I do every day, right? And obviously working physical jobs helped me stay in shape at the time, right? Um, so in my youth, I was always, even if I wasn't working out and kind of muscular, I'd be at least a twink, right? Because I could eat pretty much anything I wanted and not become overweight at all. Because with activities at work, I was probably burning close to 4,000 calories a day, right? Right around 4,000 calories a day. So, and I still didn't eat a lot of junk food. Um, a typical day would be one or two protein shakes, a couple bananas, um, a couple liters of milk, um, maybe three actual normal meals, which would be like pasta with some kind of lean protein, potatoes and eggs, um, maybe pizza. That'd be a typical day, and that would come to almost 4,000 calories. And I can't eat like that now, obviously, because I'm only burning like 2,300 calories a day, right? And it's a fair amount of calories, but it's not a lot, right? And for someone who doesn't track calories, you can easily go over that in a day. Easily go over that in a day. A lot of people, they can easily have that gone by noon if they wake up at a normal time. They can eat that many calories by noon, no problem. Uh, because there's been times I've dieted, not tracked my calories, and at the end of the day, I'll add up my calories that I ingested during the day, and I went over. So, you can't listen to people that are overweight and they will say, I hardly eat anything. I don't eat anything. I'm always hungry. I don't eat. And that's a load of bullshit. And the thing is, it's a food addiction. If you want to lose weight, you're always going to think you're hungry. But one of the first steps is identifying it for what it is. And it's not hunger, it's a food addiction, right? It's a food addiction. When you think you're hungry, you don't reach for an apple. You reach for a fucking chocolate bar or a bag of chips or a glass of pop. That's what people typically do when they think they're hungry, because it's a junk food addiction. But enough rambling about that. My youth. Mm, the main thing I do miss about my youth, though, is being lean, being a twink, um, and when I worked out, being, an otter mode guy. Otter mode means really lean with some muscle, and that's what I mainly miss. I miss being in really good shape, right? I miss being in really good shape because so much other things came with being in shape. Like I said, when somebody's really overweight, I make the assumption that they're lazy. I even make the assumption that they're low IQ. They look ugly. They look like shit. I assume they have poor cardio ability. Um, I assume that they're a liar as well, because nobody wants to be really overweight. And typically, the people that are really overweight, they're liars, because those are the people that will say, I hardly eat anything, when they eat mass amounts of food every day, you know? So, there's a lot associated with obesity, at least in my eyes, and I make a lot of negative assumptions about people when they're obese, right? And of course, I probably won't say all those negative assumptions to their face, right? Because the devil is a coward. But I do make the negative assumptions, right? I do make the negative assumptions. And in my personal life, I don't know anybody who is actually acceptable in body weight. The only ones I know of are children. Everyone I know in my personal life who are adults like me are overweight or obese or morbidly obese. Every single one of them, right? Well, that's not quite true, because I think of one person. He's not overweight at all. He's actually quite fit and healthy. So I'm not saying names, right? But if you're a woman and you're watching this video, you can be like, oh, he's talking about me because he said everybody he knows in his life is obese or overweight, and I probably am, right? Um, but there's very few people I actually know of that are not morbidly obese or overweight, right? So if I can get back to what I used to be and be really good shape, I'd be mugging pretty much everybody, because lean is law, like they say on the forums, right? And the biggest step in looks maxing is lose weight, right? Even the people who don't think they need to lose weight often need to lose 15 or 20 pounds, right? And I want to lose a good 60 pounds, maybe even more, depending on what my weight is. I'm not sure what it is. I haven't tracked it in a couple months, and that's not good, right? Um, you know, a lot of the people that are really overweight, they don't have much self awareness, and they have no clue how much they weigh. They have no fucking clue. They don't even know a ballpark estimate. Like, you can ask them how much they weigh, and they always undershoot and say, "Oh, I think I weigh about 230," and they step on the scale and it's 255. And it's like, okay, did you weigh yourself 10 years ago and you've gained 25 pounds since then? Right? But as far as my youth goes, I don't have a lot to say about my youth. My youth was not that exciting. Um, like, if you consider youth 29 years old, I did win an arm wrestling competition, an amateur arm wrestling competition at 29, and got a gold medal. Nothing amazing, right? Um, I know in high school, one of the coolest things I ever started doing was playing Magic the Gathering, and I started playing that back in high school. I failed a grade, and I started playing Magic the Gathering and gained a circle of friends. Probably there was probably about 12 of us, and you know those were days that I shined. Those were days I finally remember, playing Magic the Gathering during lunch break at school with my friends, who were all most of them were a year younger than me, right? That's one thing I fondly remember. And I still play Magic the Gathering to this day, almost 25 years later, right? And as far as I know, that friend group I had in school, none of them play Magic anymore. None of them, right? And that group, they fell apart when I dropped out of high school in grade 10. Yeah. Grade 10, I dropped out of high school and I was 18. And my friend group kind of just fell apart and everybody went their separate ways. They disbanded in groups of two or three or one. And I think I was the one holding them all together. I think it's because I was the oldest, right? Um, but that is one thing I miss from my youth, is playing Magic. And at that time, playing Magic in high school, I was a twink. Like, I was beyond twink. I was like, when I was like 17, I might have weighed 100 pounds. and I was not big at all, and I was tall, but I was skinny as fuck, right? And it wasn't until I was 18 that I started strength training, and I had being lean on my side, and I did gain a little bit of muscle. Didn't know what the fuck I was doing, but I gained a little muscle, and I looked really, really good, really good. And but that's one thing I fondly remember is playing Magic the Gathering with my friends on lunch break in high school, and we had a few get-togethers after I dropped out of school where one of them would invite everybody to their place. We'd play Magic all day at their house while their parents were at work, and those were fun times. Um, I remember the first booster draft I went to. Booster draft is when you open a pack of cards, take one card, and pass it to the person next to you, and you keep doing that until all the packs are gone, and then you open a new pack, and then a new pack, and you go through 3 packs each person does. And I remember my first booster draft. For placed second place. I did quite well. Um, so natural skill at the game. Skill came naturally to me for the game, and it's because of my familiarity with RPGs and strategy games that I had been playing most of my life. Right, so I was a shoe in for being skillful at that type of game. Right, and I have improved in the almost 25 years I've played, right? Um, but I've known players, they pick up the game and they make all the beginner mistakes and they just suck at the game so bad. And a lot of the beginner mistakes I did not make when I started playing. But I think I've rambled enough. I know I didn't talk about my youth very much, and I'm sorry, but there's not a lot to say. Like I said, the main thing I miss is being lean, being in shape. That's the main thing I miss. And there's not much else to say. So I'll leave it at that, and I'll see you guys online.